I've arrived in Rhode Island. 95. Won't someone please give me a ride? Imagine all the tears I've cried. Please pick me up and grant me asylum. I grew up somewhere cool outside of LA, where the weather and my life were perfect every day. And my parents pulled me out of school, and I said, what the heck? My dad said, son, pack up your things. I gotta go and return. They brought me here to this queer old factory town south of Pawtucket. In a year, it's just too weird. So I packed my bags and finally just said, now I'm stuck here in Providence, where nothing makes a lick of sense, and jokes are made at my expense, and I've lost all my confidence. I'm hitchhiking along the mall, looking out at urban sprawl. There's no one left that I can call. If no one stops, I'll end it all. Might be the last place I'm alive. No one offers me a ride. I'll throw myself off this pavilion. 95. Onto you, I'll take a dive. And it's unlikely I'll survive unless... Who are you?
Your host for the evening, I need to talk with you about your poor decision that I interrupted. Why on earth would you want to throw yourself off a well-constructed overpass like this and splatter onto windshields of unfortunate passers-by?
Well, why not? I might as well if I'm stuck in this state.
Oh, what's wrong with Rhode Island?
It's terrible.
Terrible, this is the greatest state in the entire United States. I defy you to name one state that's better than Rhode Island.
California.
Never heard of it.
I mean, they know how to party.
If I don't believe in them, then they can't hurt me, young man. I'll tell you how I know that Rhode Island is the greatest state in the nation. You see, I founded it. let me break it down for you in song. Maybe then it'll make more sense. Took a boat from England so that I could be a teacher and a preacher in Massachusetts colony. They didn't like my thoughts there, my thoughts on church and state. I wanted to keep those things oh so separate. Roger Williams, doing the best he can. Roger Williams, trying to help his fellow man. They tried to banish me, but before they did, I set out for a new land in the most desperate bid. 100 miles overland on foot I had to go. And did I mention there was a blizzard's worth of snow? Roger Williams, doing the best he can. Roger Williams, trying to help his fellow man. Met the Narragansetts and soon had learned their tongue. I paid fair price for their land. I made peace with everyone. I spoke Gansett, I spoke French, I spoke Dutch and Son. I opened up this new land to Miss Ann Hutchinson. So I think I know a thing or two about great places to live, and Rhode Island is certainly one of them. And that song takes me back to the good old days, the first few weeks of founding. Those are the juiciest.
You have a good time back then?
Oh, I had a great time back then, my lad.
No, I think I heard about something between you and Ann Hutchinson.
Oh. You know what? I never found and tell, but Annie was a wonderful lady. Listen, I don't want to go running my mouth off about Ann Hutchinson. Let my friend Mr. Jake Haller do it for me. Give it up for Jacob Haller!
All right, Johnny.
Give me a tip on it?
I'll probably just count it off too slow. Whatever you think.
Pick it up, man.
Well, Ann Hutchinson was a mighty woman. She was the daughter of Francis Barbary, and she was put on trial in 1637 for preaching in that Boston colony. Lord, Lord, preaching in that Boston colony. Well, the governor said to Ann Hutchinson, well, you've broken that biblical law, for a woman's place is in honoring her husband, not speaking out in church at all, Lord, Lord, speaking out in church at all. Well, let me read to you from the Bible. That's what Ann said to that governor. It says that my duty as an elder woman is to teach those that are younger, Lord, Lord, teach those that are younger. And Ann said, what law have I broken? Just tell me and I'll see if it is true. Then the governor shouted, well, hold on, sister, cause we're the judges here, not you, Lord, Lord. We're the judges here, not you. Take it away, Keith. Isn't this man great? We argued for days into the evenings, and the governor was losing his cool. For despite all his learning, that self-educated midwife was making him look just like a fool. Lord, Lord, making him look just like a fool. And he said, you know I'm not worried, cause God says you can't hurt me. Then the judge laughed out loud and the court retired. Convict her of heresy, Lord, Lord, convict her of heresy. Now some might say the moral of the story is the dangers of too much pride. But I say it shows hard to break through that glass ceiling, even with God on your side, Lord, Lord, even with God on your side. Well, Ann Hutchinson was a mighty woman. She was the daughter of Francis Barbary, and she was put on trial in 1637 for preaching in that Boston colony, Lord, Lord, preaching in that Boston colony.
That Ann Hutchinson was a firecracker, and I think that proves my point. Young man, I just don't understand what possible problems you could have with Rhode Island. I mean, it's the ocean state. It's a beautiful location, even.
I don't think the ocean is that beautiful here.
Okay, Mr. California. What's so wrong with our oceans?
Oh, it smells worse.
Well, I mean, the odor is unique, but... It's all about perspective. It's about appreciating the odor. What? The next vignette I'd like you to take a look at involves a man who knows a thing or two about the beach. He's got one named after him. And he himself is named after an element found in copious amounts in the water. I'd like you to listen to Mr. Salty Brine.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Rhode Island Rag. Misquamicut, Connecticut, first and third and second. Hooskanau, Union Street, Mackerel Cove and Crescent. Buttonwoods has got the goods and Easton's Beach is bumpin'. If you're from the streets, then South Shore Beach is straight out of Little Compton. Oakland Beach is nowhere near Alameda County. It's in Warwick, home to quite a wide variety of townies who trek on down to Scarborough when the weather gets too sticky. But no one's watching Watch Hill Beach if you want to give someone a hickey. Sphinx Neck is good for necking, and Goose Wing is good for goosing. But if you're a eunuch, no one in Matunic will find that at all amusing. Continuing our little theme of all things great and nautical, our lighthouses will raise eyebrows. There's more than would seem logical. Gull Rock, Point Judith, Castle Hill, all used to hail the whalers. Sabin, Nyack, Poplar Point still point the way for sailors. Connecticut is barbarous, and Potter Rocks is rocky. Plum Hill Light is plum delightful, but Newport Harbor's snobby. Dutch Island Light is beautiful, but at low tide can be smelly. But poke around, you just might find fried clams with a whole belly. Lobster rolls and chowder bowls and clear and white and red. Lobster claws and tails and legs, and some folks eat the head. You'll say for sure to our short dinner you'll never get enough of what it takes for our clam bakes with steamers, fish, and stuffies. Don't hog all of the cohogs. There's plenty for all comers. And best of all, it's year-round, fall, winter, spring, and summers. Rhode Island is the ocean state. The rest are just imposters. That's my time. I'm Salty Brine. No school, Boston, Gloucester.
You see what I'm saying? That pungent odor is all the fish that we get to eat out of the ocean. Young man, if we didn't have that smell, we wouldn't have any seafood to speak of.
I guess that's a good point.
Yeah, it's a great point. So, hit me. What else you got against the greatest state in the Union?
I mean, isn't it obvious? It's tiny. It's a tiny state. I mean, come on, you can't find it on a map. And the whole state could just drift off to sea one day and no one would notice until they took a star off the flag.
Listen, kid. I have been told my entire life by numerous women that size doesn't matter. I believe that to be true. Again, it's all about perspective. Yes, Rhode Island is small, the smallest state in the Union. Look at that EST, that's a superlative. It's super. And all it takes is a little bit of rearranging to think about Rhode Island's small stature as a great thing. We are the yardstick of the world. Everything else is measured up against us. And to make that point a little clearer, I'd like to invite a man with not one, but 2 Grammys on his mantle. That's right. I want you to direct your attention to 2-time Grammy Award winner, Mr. Bill Hardy!
It's kind of a drinking song. I was out there earlier and I noticed that somebody's already got to start. So this has got a part for you, all right? I travel around, people say, Bill, how big is Rhode Island? So I'll tell you. There's an iceberg afloat
in Botany Bay, the size of the state of Rhode Island. There's a hole in the ozone that won't go away. Your part, the size of the state of Rhode Island. There's a forest fire raging out in Montana, a tropical storm just off of Havana. They just found the world's biggest banana. Your part, the size of the state of Rhode Island. Nice job. There's a swath of the rainforest clear cut each day. Size of the state of Rhode Island. There's an asteroid circling close by us, they say. Size of the state of Rhode Island. There's a caribou herd that I saw on TV. And General Motors has a new SUV. Donald Trump's ego is set now to be the size of the state of Rhode Island. If there were a prize for comparing a little Rhode, he would win it. We know all about it, cause hey, we're here in it. And driving across it takes 45 minutes. That's the size of the state of Rhode Island. Rhode Island's the size of the spreading oil spill off of the coast of the Bahia. Rhode Island's the size of a giant landfill somewhere in the Crimea. It's the size of the ranch on the West Texas plains, the size of a cave in the south part of Spain. How big is that, they ask, we will explain. It's the size of the state of Rhode Island. Well, it may annoy you and cause you despair that they use little money by which to compare. But if we weren't here, hell, they use Delaware. It's the size of the state of Rhode Island. All right, one more time, here we go. There's a baker in Omaha who just made a pie. Size of the state of Rhode Island. There's a plasma screen TV that you ought to buy. The size of the state of Rhode Island. There's a red tide rising and making a stink. A fungus that's growing in my bathroom sink. And this song is over, so I need a drink. Everybody in harmony. The size of the state of Rhode It's all a matter of perspective. All you have to do is twist that frown upside down and Rhode Island's small stature becomes an amazing thing. It sets us apart. Now come on, what else could you possibly have to find complaint with? Well, I mean, there aren't really any real cultural milestones in Rhode Island's history. All right. I mean, I'm getting close to wanting to slap you, but I feel like I should educate you instead. Education is the mental slap that you need right now. In 1965, at a little cultural event called the Newport Folk Festival, a young musician named Mr. Robert Dillon took the stage, and he made a choice that would change.
Just the mic. Positive and negative, two sides to every coin. repulsion and attraction, causing metal to conjoin. Better than a piece of tape for a metal wall. Don't use them upon wood, or else they'll fall. They'll stick upon your refrigerator just like glue. Yes, what is it?
What are you doing?
Dylan goes magnetic.
That's not right. That's a little bit wrong.
I will keep working on it, Roger Williams.
Okay. I apologize. Sometimes when we take a look back, things get a little blurry. But in any event, important things happen here all the time. This is a center of creativity and innovation, my son.
I don't know about that. I mean, it seems kind of stagnant around here. Where are the new ideas?
Listen, son. I will, for a moment, forget about the Narragansett Del Shandy. Even more important, something a long time ago, without which the factories that now produce the Narragansett Del Shandy would not exist. That's right. I want to draw your attention to a young British man named Samuel Slater. And he got it into his head. He got it into his head that it was time to make a change, to take a stand for the good of all Americans. And so, using his upright spirit and his can-do attitude, he accepted a great deal of money to steal the plans for a new cotton-producing machine that they had in England. He memorized the entire blueprints for this machine. He took it back across the sea with him, repeating it again and again in his head to keep that image in his brain, and upon arrival here in America, he constructed an amazing machine that led to the birth of the Industrial Revolution here in the United States.
So he committed corporate espionage?
You can't steal from the British because they're so terrible. But I don't need to defend Samuel Slater. I will let Samuel Slater defend himself.
The only really true word about me is I made the new world come alive, and arguably more free. Ingrate may say Slater, that old bastard was a traitor, but without my legacy, where would they be? When you look upon this land, the foundation on which it stands, head and shoulders above history, that was me. Think of all the discipline to learn it all and keep it in my head through a voyage across the sea. So what if I got rich? Would you have me living in a ditch? You people have industry. Let me be. When textiles started spinning, your nation started winning. A rags to riches story that is all thanks to me.
You imagine all that never would have been. America would not have stayed independent long. A boy like this one here might not see his 40th year. So thank him and move along.
Today, there's no solution for all of the pollution. For progress, it seems that there's a price. And we reap the indignation of less developed nations, whom we lecture, but they don't heed our advice. Your head start came from Slater. If you'd have started later, it might have been too late to start it all. And that's victory! Progress! 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 Progress!
interesting.
It was performance art, you little ingrate, and it was amazing. Think about what they were saying. They're right, you know. You would have been dead before you were 4 years old, tossed out with the bathwater, had it not been for Mr. Sam Slater and this wondrous machine. Almost an invention. Young man, I feel like I'm kind of winning this argument right now. Rhode Island's looking pretty damn good. I can't think of anything else you could possibly have a problem with.
Well, I mean, there's the whole thing about how you can't avoid anybody here, because you always run into everybody you know.
Well, I can't think how that would be a bad thing. I love everyone.
I'll tell you. Last weekend, I was in line at CVS with an armful of Twizzlers. Really happy. And then all of a sudden my dentist walks in. I start feeling really guilty and ending up walking out with 6 boxes of dental floss instead.
You mean like six little packets or 6 like cartons, each with multiple
6 cartons.
That's an awful lot of dental floss.
He's a very intimidating dentist.
Well, I have to admit, Sam, that doesn't seem like a real problem. I mean, your teeth are that much cleaner for it. If anything, Rhode Island's small size did you a favor, even if it made you grumpy on that day. Think about it. Being surrounded by friends and family, surrounded by people who have your best interest at heart, it's amazing. It's like living in a sleeping bag with everybody you like. I don't want to belabor this point. I don't want to get locked into another argument with you, young man. I just want you to listen to these sound words of wisdom from one Mr. John Campbell!
Falls over the band. Does Roger Williams know he gave us the only state in the Union laid out on tribal boundaries? The western border of Rhode Island is where Narragansett land met Pequot land. The northern border is where it met Hipmuk land. The eastern border is where it met the land of the Wampanoag.
I totally knew that.
Huh?
I totally knew that. I thought it was obvious. I didn't need to.
No other state can make that claim.
I turned the Narragansett to a powerhouse. It's true. They were the strongest nation at that time. They sided with us during the French and Indian War. I know facts.
I was thinking when I was driving up, which is always dangerous, the time alone in the car. I was thinking Providence is, first of all, I live in the other end of the state, and we kind of look upon Providence as kind of that mole that your doctor's keeping an eye on, that sore that won't heal. And I was thinking, you know, Providence has some great evening activities now. You know, different theatrical things, water flyer and everything. But there's not much to do here in the daytime. Now, nobody's been able to figure out what to do with all that land where 195 used to be. Right?
Yeah.
We start Providence Plantation. convict labor. Just whatever, whatever's involved in a Providence plantation out there. I leave that to greater minds to implement. Now, Providence, in my lifetime, has changed a good deal. In the 50s, this was a gangster town. And I think probably to this day, you could drop a magnet off the Point Street Bridge or the Crawford Street Bridge and come up with a lot of Saturday night specials. And even change the chemistry of the Upper Bay. In the 60s, the tide of peace and love eventually washed up on Dare Street. You get India print garments, some incense, and that poster, Some of Us Live Off Hope, that I think will be for sale into the third millennium. The 70s, people from Rhode started rolling down the hill and drinking in the old Met and Leo's, and refurbishment and revamping of Providence sort of began. In the 80s, it cranked up. AS-220 got going. The 90s, I don't know. Then in 2000 or so, people started homesteading the Armory and the West End, and you didn't have to get your shit together and go to Portland, Oregon. And now there's all this music going on at the Columbus Theater, and I'm taking great pleasure in noting that these kids now are starting to figure out you can't be a famous Rhode Island band until you leave. Right? Yeah. Talking Heads, famous Rhode Island band. They had to leave, and they pick one. Yeah. There's a million of them. So, you want to be a successful Rhode Island musician, leave. Like right now. So, Keith.
John Campbell, I'm trying to do something here.
All right, I'm going to sing a little song. Some things about Providence have never changed. I wrote this song a while ago, and Keith said, oh, this has to be part of the musical. So my accordion player didn't make it, so you'll have to fill in those parts. B flat. Providence Place, we're all shuffling around, and you take a step forward, you take a few back, you do the Providence waltz, just like a migraine attack. You kinda know me, and I kinda know you, mostly hanging around, don't have a whole lot to do, but I'm here, and you're here, and for all of our faults, guess we might just as well do the Providence waltz. This little sing-along, not as good as Bill Hartley's sing-along, but a sing-along nonetheless. I'll run it by you once, not for nothing, I was doing the Providence waltz. You're gonna get a chance. I was doing the Providence waltz. Lovely. You can Providence waltz when you're up there on bail, or just jumping through the hoops, or maybe just chasing some tail. You can waltz on the plaza, or you can waltz up the hill. We all say we're leaving, but we're waltzing here still. I've seen you before. You say you seen me, well, we might have waltzed once or twice down where that old bed used to be. Hey, you
my friend, but hey, if you waltzed once before, well, here we go again. I lost my heart when I was doing the Providence Waltz. In your hand. I lost my heart when I was doing the Providence Waltz. Well, you can waltz with that bug up there on old 95. But when you're way at the end of the registry line, just get 3 all the way with celery salt. You can eat while you're dancing to the Providence Waltz. You know, you kind of know me, and I kind of know you. We're all underemployed, don't have a whole lot to do. But I'm here, and you're here. Oh, for all of our faults, we might just as well do the Providence Waltz. And that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, the Providence Waltz. You're gonna get a chance. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, the Providence Waltz. Have her dancing while you dance it. And should Onlyville acquaintance be forgot as fast as salty brine with a Bashasik and the Winasquatucket meat, so should we just off of 95.
It's an amazing place. You're never short something to do here, even when it seems like maybe you
Hey, kid!
excuse me, what are you doing? I'm in the middle of a lesson here.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, Gilbert Stewart, everybody.
How you doing? I just came here with some deals for everybody here. You might know my portrait of George Washington, but I'm happy to do a copy if anybody likes for like $100. And I did one of you. All right, what's your name?
Sam.
Sam. I did one for Sam, so I got that for you. May have been to my birthplace. Look, I'm doing these. I've done dozens.
Gilbert.
Gotta make a little of this.
Gilbert, we appreciate you stopping by. I wanted to make some points about the great
And
artist.
I'm gonna be here all night. I'll be out in the parking lot after the show. I'll be up with a Benjamin. You know him, right?
A little bit.
I don't know, whatever. Just $100, all right?
Gilbert.
Yeah.
Did you really paint anything other than George Washington?
Not that I ever made any money off of. Nobody wants Gilbert Stewart's still lifes, am I right? So, just ask for Stewart. Gilbert Stewart. All right. Thank you.
No, I think I got it this time, Roger Williams. I used to play pickup basketball in an all-folk singers league. I also like touch football and ultimate frisbee. One time I bowled a 300 on my way to a softball game. I would hit 2 homers and it would have been 3 if it didn't start to rain. Soccer, hockey, darts, and curling, competitive cycling too. Billiards, bocce, basketball, and also back to school for road crew.
Bob Dylan.
Yes, Roger Williams. Williams and his young companion.
I almost am scared to ask. What was that?
Dylan goes after Lenny.
You're this close.
I feel I'm on the verge of something big. I'll continue to work on it.
What I'm trying to get at is Rhode Island is full of wild, zany stories and people and things to see and do. It's an amazing place if you just know where to look.
Yeah, but I mean, no matter where you look, you're not going to find anyone. I mean, everyone in Rhode Island is a prickly hermit who doesn't reach out to anyone.
Okay. Rhode Islanders can seem prickly sometimes, but deep down inside, we're all sweethearts. I mean, if you make a friend in Rhode Island, that person is your friend for life. And there's no one better to illustrate the strong fraternal bonds that link Rhode Islanders than Miss Ida Lewis. Now, Ida Lewis was a lighthouse keeper in Newport, Rhode Island. It's not normal for a woman to become a lighthouse keeper in the age Ida lived, but you see, her father, the original lighthouse keeper, was crippled by a stroke. And so, 13-year-old Ida had to step up and take over. Her duties included manning the lights, keeping the light lit so that sailors could stay off the rocks and the treacherous Newport Harbor, but more importantly, she saved the lives of over 18 people during her tenure as lighthouse keeper. She rode out there, she saved those people. But I feel like my words can't do it justice. Why don't we just watch?
What it's like being a woman as a hero. I mean, you're seeing all these men. That's a big
also a lot of wackadoos. I think that's part of what makes this steak great too. They give it great flavor. And there's a little bit of spookiness under the surface in Rhode Island too. Does that appeal to you, young man? A little bit of spooky, a little bit of cool? Right, so how would you like to hear a ghost story as told by one of Rhode Island's premier wackadoos? All right. Now what I want you to do is cast your eyes and your ears towards Mr. Rory Revue!
And I've been asked to come down and tell you something spooky. Now, just a little point of interest, some of you know this, some of you don't. Just about a year ago, my wife and I moved up to Salem, Massachusetts.
Salem can go to hell, Rory.
Funny you should mention that. Because here's a little bit of Rhode Island trivia for you. Salem is the colony, the settlement from which Roger Williams gets expelled. You all know that he gets kicked out of Massachusetts. That's very true. He gets kicked out of Massachusetts for his new, diverse, and dangerous opinions. Things like separation of church and state, learning the Indian language and trying to befriend the Indians, you know, crazy stuff like that. And they decide this sort of just can't go on, so they kick him out, and he comes down here to Rhode Island to found Rhode Island. So I've moved from Rhode Island up to Salem. It's like I can't get away from this guy. But when I was living here, I was doing a walking tour for a number of years, and they asked me to come do sort of a selection of the walking tour. I explained to them that it's somewhat difficult to do a walking tour indoors when people are stationary. But I decided that you're a smart bunch, so we can kind of pretend, we can sort of imagine. It's a lovely fall day, we're out on Benefit Street, across from the Providence Athenaeum. The Providence Athenaeum is one of the oldest libraries in the nation. Its roots go back to the 1750s. Since 1836, it's been housed in this building here, 255 Benefit Street. It's a lovely kind of Greek revival temple. Now the Athenaeum is associated for the most part with two different names. Sarah Helen Whitman, who you probably haven't heard of, and Edgar Allan Poe, who you probably have. Now Sarah Helen Whitman, or Mrs. Whitman as she's usually called, was a widow who lived here in Providence in the mid-19th century. And she was, in her day, considered to be one of Providence's best-known writers. She had a national reputation for being a poet, an author, kind of a philosopher. She hung out with Margaret Stewart, Emerson, all these sort of transcendentalists. And she was this kind of eccentric, ethereal figure. She liked to wear these long white gowns and scarves and gloves and veils. There's a story about her walking along Benefit Street on windy days, and the wind would blow off bits of clothing. She'd be too lost in thought to even notice. Friends of hers would walk along behind her and pick the stuff up and drop it off back at her house. And being the kind of literary, poetic, eccentric that she is, she's into the kind of things that literary eccentrics are into in the 19th century, so she goes to seances. Seances don't begin in Rhode Island, they do eventually reach Rhode Island. Rhode Island, with its kind of free-thinking, freewheeling philosophy, becomes an early hotbed of seance-holding activity, and she is right there in the middle of all of it. She goes to seances, she records what happens in her diary, she sees tables floating and tambourines shaking. The more she sees, though, the less she believes. There's some sort of trick involved with a lot of this. So the more she sees, the less she believes. Now, like I said, we've mostly forgotten about her. She's a very little-known figure in American literature. We mostly remember her because she was briefly engaged to Edgar Allan Poe. And a lot of their romance plays out at the Providence Athenaeum. Now, I can tell you more about how they meet when we get to her house presently. But for now, I can tell you the story of the Poe autograph that's at the Athenaeum. One day when Poe is visiting her at the Athenaeum, and they're downstairs flirting in the stacks, she shows him a poem that he published anonymously. There's no author's name attached to this, and the poem is entitled Ullaloo. And Ullaloo begins, the skies were ashen and sober, the leaves were crisping and sere, the leaves they were withering and sere. It was night in the lonesome October of my most immemorial year. It was down by the dim lake of Ober, in the misty mid-region of Weir. It was hard by the dank tarn of Ober, the ghoul-haunted woodland of Weir. The poem goes on from there. It tells a story of a young man who's out walking one night when he stumbles across the grave of his lost love, who had died, he had buried 1 year ago that very night. Somehow he's forgotten about this. Mrs. Whitman loves the poem. She asks everyone, do you know who wrote this? Nobody does. Then one day when Poe is at the Athenaeum, she shows him and says, Edgar, do you know who wrote this? And Poe, modestly or not, says, I did it. Takes out a pencil and signs a copy of the magazine on the table between them. That magazine is still there in the Athenaeum collection today. A number of years ago, I gave a talk at the Athenaeum around Halloween about local ghosts and spooks. And I said, can you bring out that copy of the magazine and put it on display? Because I want to talk about it. I want people to see this. So they said, well, we don't really have a display case or anything. We'll just hand it to you. You can open it to the appropriate page and point it out to people. Suddenly, I'm holding this thing in my hand that Poe and Mrs. Whitman had in their hands 150 years ago. And they're at the foot of the page. Very small, very faded pencil signature. Edgar A. Poe. So you can't help but get this kind of, whoop feeling holding this thing. And trying not to sneeze. Now, like I said, we've really kind of forgotten about her. There's not a whole lot that we know. I did go to the Athenaeum years ago asking about her, if there were stories they could tell me. There really wasn't a whole lot any of them could tell. There is a really nice portrait of her at the Athenaeum. It's up in their art room. She's wearing one of those white gowns. She has this kind of almost a turban-like sort of headdress that she's wearing. You definitely get the sense this is an odd lady. And I asked the woman at the desk, are there any ghost stories about the Athenaeum? She looked at me as though I'd asked a very foolish question indeed. She said, yes, of course. I said, what's the story? And she said, well, some nights when I'm here by myself, closing up, everyone else has gone home, I hear someone moving around upstairs. I hear floorboards creak, I hear books being shifted around, I hear pages flip. When I go upstairs to see what's going on, there's never anyone there. And I said, well, who do you think? What do you think's going on? She said, Poe. I know it has to be Poe, still haunting the Athenaeum a century and a half or more after his death. I don't know if she says this just so I'll mention to you on the walk, but you can contemplate that as we make our way to our next stop, this way. I walk fast, keep up. This is the home of Sarah Helen Whitman. This is where she lived with her family. This is where a lot of the romance with Poe is carried out. Now, it's a very weird family. Mrs. Whitman writes poetry and holds seances here in the parlor. Her mother is deeply deranged. There's a sister who lives upstairs, is never allowed out without an escort. So it's a really weird kind of address. And she's always called Mrs. Whitman. She grows up in Providence on Power Street. She's Sarah Helen Power. That's her maiden name. She marries a lawyer from Boston, moves to Boston. 5 years later, the husband dies. She moves back to Providence as Mrs. Whitman and moves into this house on Benefit Street with her family in somewhat reduced circumstances. Like I said, this is where a lot of the romance with Poe plays out. How do they meet? Begins a sort of literary Valentine's Day party in New York City. Every guest is invited to compose a poem for another guest. She can't make it, but she sends a poem down addressed to the Raven, which everyone realizes must be Poe. If you didn't know who Poe was before he published The Raven, you definitely knew who he was after. That poem really made his name. He can't make it either, because he's not, what's the word I want here? Invited. But he gets a hold of the poem, he's enchanted by it, he finds out who wrote it, they write letters back and forth for a few weeks before he visits Providence on 4 separate occasions to court her at her house and down at the Athenaeum. When he meets her face to face, he realizes that he had seen her a year or so ago when he was coming through Providence on a lecture tour. He's walking down Benefit Street and he stops at the corner and looks down behind her house with his lovely rose garden. And there she is. She's wearing one of those long white gowns. She's clipping roses. I always want to think it's a full moon. His eyes meet. Their eyes meet. They nod. He smiles. They don't speak. And he continues on his way up to his hotel. When he meets her again a year or so later, he realizes that was her that he'd seen in the garden by the moonlight a year or so before. And he writes a poem about that. Well, he's Edgar Allan Poe. He's writing The Pit and the Pendulum and The Raven. She's Mrs. Whitman, writing poetry, holding seances in the parlor. They are clearly made for each other. They fall in love in that gothic, cosmic kind of way only the Victorians could. They start talking about getting married. The family's not at all happy about this new match. Her first husband had been a lawyer. The new son-in-law is going to be Edgar Allan Poe. They do everything they can to break up this match. They have Mrs. Whitman sign an agreement that she'll allow Poe no access to her money. She had a little bit of money put aside after the death of her first husband. They didn't want Poe marrying her just to get to her dough. She signs. Friends of her start sending her letters telling her that Poe's a philanderer, he's a drunk, he's no good. She ignores them. They asked Poe to sign a pledge to stop drinking. He had a reputation for being a notorious drunk, and he signs. It looks like it's going to work. They started taking long walks in Swan Point. They talk about creating a magazine called The Stylus here in Providence. He's going to move here and try to make Providence sort of a literary center. Things look like they're going to go well. And then Poe does himself no favors, showing up there one day drunk. He tells off her interfering mother. Mrs. Whitman faints on a couch with an ether-soaked handkerchief pressed to her lips. According to one version of the story, Poe does something antisocial in the fireplace before stomping out of their lives and out of the door and out of their lives forever. 10 months later, he's dead. He's found face down in a gutter in Baltimore, Maryland. He's soaking wet, he's delirious, he's wearing somebody else's clothes. He's brought to a hospital nearby where he dies a few days later, never fully regaining consciousness. His last words are variously said to be, "I wish somebody would blow my damn brains out," or "God have mercy on my soul," or the name Reynolds, 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 repeated over and over again. Different sources give you different versions of his last words. And we don't really know what happened to him in the last few days of his life. There are all kinds of Baroque theories that he was made to vote in the same election over and over again for some favorite candidate, that he got rabies, that he was a secret agent, all kinds of crazy Baroque theories, none of which really seem to be true. Now, after his death, Poe was sort of the subject of really awful attacks by the people he had alienated during his life. He made a lot of enemies, he had a real poison pen, and once he was dead, payback time. And Mrs. Whitman actually never gives up on him. She spends the rest of her life defending Poe's name from these sort of attacks. She publishes a little book here in Providence called Edgar Poe and His Critics, which tries to refute a lot of stories that are going on about Poe, like him being a philanderer and a plagiarist and worse. And she never gives up on him. Some people say that we remember Poe because of this PR campaign that she goes on. She kind of sacrifices her own literary reputation to defend his. If you go take an American Lit class, you'll hear all about Edgar Allan Poe. He's a major name in American literature. You will not hear about Mrs. Whitman. You might hear about her as sort of an also-ran in 19th century American women's poetry, but she's a very minor figure. You will definitely hear about him. So we remember him, but we've long since forgotten about her. Now, in a bad neighborhood in Providence, a place I really don't recommend you visit, you can walk down a Poe Street, P-O-E, little name for Edgar Allan Poe. Off of Poe Street used to run Helen Street. She was Sarah Helen Whitman. He always called her My Helen. Now, I've been to the spot. I've walked down Poe Street. I've gotten to where Helen Street used to be. But off of Poe Street, where this Helen Street used to be, it's just not there anymore. I've been to the spot. I can see a cutout in the curb where a street used to be, but it's just not there anymore. So it's oddly touching and appropriate that Poe Street is there and Helen Street has sort of vanished in much the same way that we remember him. We've long since forgotten about her. My name is Roy Raven. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Pretty freaking creepy, huh? Rhode Island, that's Rhode Island for you. I feel like that's it. That's what other nail do you need in your hating on Rhode Island coffin over here?
Well, I mean, look at its history. Nothing important ever happened here.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna dial this back a little bit. Let's go to the American Revolution. Would you say that was kind of important?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Just a squid? So, American Revolution, when you think about an act of utter defiance perpetrated by the colonies, what comes to mind first?
Boston Tea Party.
Whoa. Boston Tea Party was a pile of bullshit. And it was a bunch of fat old white people dressing themselves up like Native Americans for no conceivable reason. And I was pretty cool with the Native Americans. And I would never have dressed up like them. Dumping a bunch of tea into the water, it meant nothing. It was meaningless. Rhode Island, we set a fucking ship on fire.
But you and only you can prevent forest fires.
Hey, quiet your noise, thanks for meeting here, boys. Now pass me another round of beer. I can pound him down faster than that poster.
Are you shitting me? These British are all fucking pansies. Let's hit 'em where it hurts and burn down the fucking gas meter.
King George with his crowd can take their step back and shove it. Sit on it and twirl, but who knows? Maybe they'll love it. Ain't run aground on our shores, so let's buckle our oars and board it with stealth in the night. We'll loot it and set it ablaze and be impolite. Who's with me?
Are you shitting me? These British are all fucking pansies. Let's hit 'em where it hurts and burn down the fucking gas meter.
Looks from Rhode Island. Why dress like an Indian? And hit it on that when we're through. That's something only cowardly Bostonians would do. We'll take the Brits prisoner, put them on exhibition in her, give them a kick in the crotch. All right. Reduce their ship to cinders, and then make them what? Who's with me?
Are you shitting me? These British are all fucking pansies. Let's hit 'em where it hurts and burn down the fucking gas meter. Who's with me? Are you shitting me? These British are all fucking pansies. Let's hit 'em where it hurts and burn down the fucking gas
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Oh, to be young, drunk, have access to gunpowder. Ah, Sam, don't you see how amazing this state is? How full of badassery it is? I love that. And looking back at that point in history, looking at that booze hall full of angry and enthusiastic young people, it makes me yearn for a Rhode Island to drink. You know, like Dell's. Now, if you have a problem with Dell's lemonade, I don't know what I'll do. I'm a ghost, and I may be able to kill you. I don't know the extent of my powers, but if you don't like Dell's, there's going to be an issue.
All right, yeah, Dell's is fine.
Awesome. Yes, Rhode Island drinks are the best drinks that ever.
Well, you can't really explain away coffee milk.
You don't like coffee milk?
No, I mean, seriously, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's not coffee, it's not milk. All right, well, it's preposterous. I mean, what's next? Chocolate orange juice? Omelet flavored Fruit Loops? Chunky cream of wheat?
First of all three of those sound potentially delicious. You know, I'm not going to sing Coffee Milk's praises. I don't need to. As a matter of fact, all I'm going to do is show you something. I just want you to take a look, and if after seeing it, you still don't like coffee milk, then there's nothing anyone can do for you.
For this part of the program, the part of Sam will be played by Stuart Wilson.
a beverage from my hometown can make me feel complete. When I get that craving, I would walk right across. 'Cause when it's real Rhody, it's coffee milk and nothing at all. Some say to whisk my sorrows away, just have a couple of tales. But the thought of frozen ice on a cool summer night just doesn't sit well. Others will claim the cure to what ails me lies in a glass of Kansas. With the long drive home alone, I just couldn't chance it. When I get that craving, I would walk right across. And when it's little Rhody, it's coffee milk or nothing at all. When I get that craving, I would walk right across. 'Cause when it's little Rhody, it's coffee milk or nothing at all. When I need that milk confection, there's only glory or eclipse. But a swallow will tell you autocrat is the only way I'll get my fix. Suppose you could always go for chocolate or strawberry maybe, but there's nothing like that sweet coffee taste. 'Cause we ain't got nothing on you, baby. I would walk right across. 'Cause when it's little Rhody, it's coffee milk or nothing at all. When I get that craving, I would walk right across. 'Cause when it's little Rhody, it's coffee milk or nothing at all. 'Cause when it's little Rhody, it's coffee milk or nothing at all. 'Cause when it's little Rhody, it's coffee milk.
So happy I got to see that.
I am too, Sam. I feel like that must have taught you a lot. So, Crash, coffee milk, pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
And see, there's nothing else that you can even bring up. I feel like I'm invincible right now. Rhode Island is an amazing place. Are you?
No, I think I got it this time.
Well then, go ahead and prove it, Bobby.
Ain't no use in turning on your light, babe. This lamp must have a short. Unplug it and lay it on the table. I can fix it, but of course I'm soldering and I'm wiring and it's ready to go. Plug it in and read a book by its reassuring glow. Electricity is something that Bob Dylan's come to know.
perfectly clear to you. You keep complaining about the size of Rhode Island, how it's bad to know people. Listen, knowing a guy is what being in Rhode Island is. If you ever get anywhere in life, I feel like half the reason you want to throw yourself off of an overpass is because you don't know enough guys. You gotta know a guy if you want to enjoy your life here. And you know one now. We just gotta introduce you to a couple more. I'm gonna reintroduce you to a guy we already met, but who's got some important words of wisdom for you. So say hello again to Mr. Bill Harvey!
Do you know the backstage? Sam was asleep.
1, 2, 1, 2. Wait, mic plug in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
The yard is looking good, Vince's coming along. One step at a time, I know you'll get there. I like those bushes, they're awful classy. I think I seen them on the golf course somewhere. Tommy told me Timmy said you need a little help. You're looking for some lure, a couple of yards. My cousin's got a buddy who works for the city. I'll talk to him tonight when we're playing some cards. I know a guy who can do that for you. I know a guy who can help you out. I know a guy who can make a connection. You let me know and I'll give him a shout. Hey Margaret, I got your message. I can't believe that Josie's really tying the knot. It seems like only Tuesday she was in a diaper. We could talk for hours with the memories we got. Weddings and killers, they're wicked expensive. But don't do something yet, cause there's someone that I know. She owes me a favor, I can call it in. Cause her brother does a banquet stand and Venus to mine. I know a guy who can do that for you. I know a guy who can help you out. I know a guy who can make a connection. You let me know and I'll give him a shout. What goes around comes around. I love you like a brother. It's a simple matter of one hand washing the other. Pulled down the sheetrock and ripped out the molding. Put it in the backyard in a big ass pile. I ain't sure, but there might be something in it. It kinda makes me cough after a little while. Tammy says it's gotta go, you know how she is. It's been a whole month and it's sitting there still. Who's that guy we used to see at Tony's? I think his brother works down at the Johnson landfill. I know a guy who can do that for you. I know a guy who can help you out. I know a guy who can make a connection. You let me know and I'll give him a shout. I know a guy who can do that for you. I know a guy who can help you out. I know a guy who's got a connection. You let me know and I'll give him a shout. You let me know and I'll give him a shout.
I mean, Sam, I feel like that's all there is to say. I need to ask, how are you feeling about Rhode Island now?
You know what, Roger? I feel pretty good.
Huh?
I kind of like it here.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, has so many cool things about it, you can almost completely ignore the extreme racial divides that still exist here.
What was, I'm sorry, I missed that last bit.
Oh, you know, like a few years after you died, Newport became a huge hub in the transatlantic slave trade.
Really? That was like the one thing I asked them not to do. I asked them a lot not to have slavery, and as soon as like right after I died, that's when it came in. It was right after.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's.
I thought you knew all about Rhode Island history. I mean, how did you not know about this?
I just kind of pop in and out when something cool happens. I'm not here all the time, and I guess I must have skipped that bit. I thought I made it clear. I thought that I had explained things to people. I thought that this was a land of free thought and openness to everybody, where everyone was equal. I'm sorry, young man. I feel like I've wasted your time. I mean, how could you listen to me? How could you follow the example of the state where something so atrocious could go on for so long? That is the one thing that state's known for, is someone from California. I feel like I was wrong. I shouldn't have interrupted you. You go ahead with your suicide. I'll do something else. I need to get out. I need to leave. I don't. Well, I tried, but all my work was brushed aside. This was the state I built with pride. It was my homeland. Well, I tried, but all my wisdom took a dive, and all my dreams can't be revived. It's clear I can't save Rhode Island. I went through all this before when Salem kicked me out. But this time it's so much worse, my heart is filled with doubt. Somewhere else they need me to hold down, I feel assured. Somewhere they will heed my words and free thought won't be obscured.
But wait, my friends, it's not the end. Now I see this place through your eyes. I comprehend, I must defend this place that I once despised. Even though it's very strange and in some ways full on deranged, it's also got a lot of folks whose accomplishments do give me hope.
You say you will commit to love what this state represents. You're going to stay and promise?
Yes, I am! I am convinced! 95. So glad to find myself alive. Walking home back down the drive. This state is one in a million. 95. And now my hopes have been revived. I feel that I can finally thrive. Thanks to you.
'That means so much to me, Sandy. You're really gonna stay?
Roger, you changed my life. I'm never gonna leave Rhode Island.
2, 3, 4.